Lyon have had a very busy transfer window. They've signed a bunch of players but sold on some key players too, and whilst they are a team in transition, they have some of the brightest young talents in world football that they'll be hoping soon can help mount a title challenge and knock PSG off their perch. They just need a manager who specialises in rebuilds, and that's where I come in. Because I've got 5 years as manager of Lyon to take them not just to title success, but hopefully to European glory too. And whilst European trophies don't exist in Lyon's cabinet, they have won plenty of domestic competitions, 5 French Cups and 7 Ligue 1 titles. In fact, if you didn't know, they won them all back to back through 2002 to 2008, winning every title possible. So the team is no stranger to success, but it has been a long while since they've won that coveted trophy. But their team seems in a great position this year to try and mount a challenge with some top players in their ranks. Wilfried Zaha is one of those, in on loan for the season. We also have club icon Alexander Lacazette up front, and new signing Moussa Niakhaté looks to be a real coup at centre-back. So yes, there's some great players here already, but Lyon have a bunch of youngsters ready to turn into superstars anytime soon. Ryan Cherki is of course one of those. The French wonder kid is a bright talent. There's also young winger Ernest Nwama, who looks like he could go on to be Africa's next superstar. And let's not forget Nigerian forward Gift Orban, who could grow in to one of the world's best strikers. And there's plenty of other great players in the squad too that I didn't cover. My only issue is if you look at the age profile of the team, quite a lot of our important players from Zaha downwards really to Matic, all of those are big first team players, all of which are coming to the end of their careers soon. Unfortunately, it's not like I'm going to be able to overhaul the squad just yet. We've got a pretty small budget of only around 3 million, nothing in the wages either, but either way I'm going to try and see what I can do in the first transfer window, make a few changes here and there, then in future seasons hopefully we can have more of an overhaul of this team. But for now, let's see what I can do in the season 1 transfer window. And despite the fact that Lyon had spent most of their budget already, I was able to do some business in this first window. I've bought in a few players, sold some too, although the Lyon fans might hate me when they see who I've let go of. Because I have allowed club icon Anthony Lopez to leave on loan to Hoffenheim with an option to buy should they want it. Now, he is a very good goalkeeper, but he's getting on the older side, and when you look at who we already have as a different option, I thought it made sense to let him go. We also freed up more of a wage bill, letting Corentin Tolisso go on a similar loan with an option to buy to Valencia. Whether they'll activate it, I'm not sure, but he wasn't someone that was really crucial to our team. We had better players in a lot of positions, and as you can see, he's on a pretty hefty wage packet, so it's good to get that off the budget. I've loaned out youngster Malik Fofana to the second tier, and Kumbedi has gone out on loan to fellow Ligue 1 club Nantes to hopefully improve his ability. And the only permanent sale I've made is Paul Okwoko, who's gone to VTSC in Portugal. The Ivorian midfielder was a decent player, was signed fairly recently, only in the last transfer window by Lyon, but for us, he just wasn't someone that I could see having a future long term. Someone I could see having a long term future though was Ivan Fresneda, who has came in to be our starting right wing back. You'll see the tactic in a minute that we are playing 5 at the back, and I think he's going to suit it perfectly. 19 years of age, good going forward, good defensively, and a lot of upside too. He's only cost us 8.5 million. Not the hugest fee, I don't think, for the kind of player we've got, so fingers crossed he fulfills his potential. A very small signing on a free, Edward Michu was let go by PSG after his loan at Sunderland. His contract expired, so we've bought him in. Will he be any good? I'm not sure, but a free transfer, you can't really complain. And finally, I've bought in Fermin on loan from Barcelona. It's costing us £1.1 million for the Spanish midfielder, a very good talent, a very good forward-thinking midfielder, and hopefully he's going to fit perfectly into our new system. And speaking of the system, this is what we're playing: a 5 at the back formation, then 2 wingers who are looking to invert, and a striker. Now, if we look at our best 11 currently, Anthony Lopez, of course, you've met, is out on loan, but the reason I was able to sell him, or loan him, should I say, is because we bought in Lucas Perry, the Brazilian. He was already at the club. I say we've bought him in, the club has, and he looks like he'll be more than good enough to start right now. Then our backline is supposedly the best, looking like this. Kaleta Sarr, the Croatian defender, is alongside Adrielson, who is a Brazilian out on loan for the year, so it'd be good when he comes back from that loan in Brazil. Then you've got Niakhaté at centre-back alongside Clinton Mata as our best right wing-back. Realistically, I'm hoping that'll be Fresneda in no time. Abner Vinicius is our best left wing-back, that, then the midfield is Firmin and Kakare. Kakare is someone that I'm hoping will be a very big player for us during this rebuild. Then going forward, it's Nuama, Zaha, who is going to compete with Cherki, and then Mikhail, the Georgian forward, is our best striker supposedly, but he's got to compete with Lacazette and also Gift Orban for that position. So it's a very good squad, but despite that, we are only predicted a third place finish. 20-1 title odds isn't the worst I've ever inherited, but compared to PSG, who are odds on favourites 2-7 to win the title, this will not be easy at all. Monaco and Marseille around us at a similar level supposedly, the same with Nice, but that's the transfers done. We now need to give season 1 our best shot, see how well we can do, and then after that we can start really getting stuck in, make this team our own. But first, let's see how we do in season 1. Now, normally in these rebuilds, in season 1, I get off to a fairly positive start and then I can build on it, but I must say, this year with Lyon has been really, really disappointing, and that started in the Conference League. Because after beating Ludogorets in the round of 16, we had to face off against Frankfurt in the quarter-final, and in the home leg, all looked good, we won 1-0. And we took that result to Germany, but it was there where we got played off the pitch. Omar Marmoush scoring an early goal past Lucas Perry, and clearly our half-time team talk wasn't very beneficial, because just after the break, they came up the other end, Chiabi finding Christensen, who tucked it into the corner. At this stage, Frankfurt were leading, and a 2-1 loss would already have been disappointing, but Marmoush came forward, and some great football allowed him to get in behind again, score a third, and that meant we had lost. We were out of the Conference League, a competition which, whilst I wasn't aiming to win it, I felt like we were one of the favourites, and we should have got further than this. So that was disappointing, but the league was maybe even more so, because we finished in 5th place, a Europa League spot, not a Champions League finish, 59 points, the same as 4th place Lens, and then above us, the top 3 are nowhere near us. We were awful. I say awful, maybe it wasn't that bad, but considering we won about a title challenge at some point in this rebuild, being 30 points behind the league leaders goes to show how far we've got to go. In fact, if you go 30 points less than us, we would have been in a relegation battle. So that shows you just how big that gap is between us and PSG at the top, even between us, Monaco and Marseille at the minute. So there's a lot of work to be done, especially when you see the top performers in the team. I mean, Nuama, Niakate and Kakare doing well is good because they're key players of the first team squad, especially Nuama, who I'm hoping will develop into a really good talent for us. But then some of our key players are loanees. I mean, Firmin will go back to Barcelona. We had Amari on loan from Rennes this season, who's also going back. Zaha going back too. Gift Orban did manage to chip in with 23 goals, mind you, but in all competitions, it still isn't the best return. 15 goals in the league probably isn't as good as we would have wanted for a title challenging side. So there is a lot of changes that we're going to have to make to this squad. We're losing players on loan and we need to bring some players in, but thankfully we are going to have the budget to do so. 35 million to spend. This is where our overhaul of this Lyon team can really start, so let's see what we can do in the season 2 transfer window. And this window was a big one. Plenty of transfers out and in. We've really overhauled the squad, in my opinion, compared to last year. But before I show you that, I'm just going to ask you guys to show me a bit of support if you can, to take a second, hit the like button. It's free to do, but it really does help me and help support the channel. And whilst you're there as well, if you haven't subscribed yet, if you're in this percentage of people that are watching but not subscribed, please click that button. We're getting so close to 40k subs, and that is the target before FM25. Make sure you comment down below what rebuild you want to see next. Also, every rebuild we do is based on your suggestions, and if you want to check out my second channel, that'll be in the description as well, where I talk all things football, not just Football Manager. And finally, don't worry, we're nearly done, is I have a Patreon linked in the description too. Over there you can support me as a creator, but in return you'll get access to the save files from all of the rebuilds that we've done on the channel from season 1 through to 5, so you can carry on after the rebuilds are done in season 5, or you can jump in halfway and try and do a better job than me. But don't worry, that's all the plugin done. Let's check out these transfers. Starting with the outgoings, Corentin Tolisso has left the club, again out on a loan with an option to buy, this time to Borussia Mönchengladbach in Germany after a pretty poor year in Spain. A big loss, a club icon, Alexander Lacazette, has left to join SH Port out in China after his contract was up here. He didn't play as much last season, only 1 start for him and 20 sub appearances, so good luck to him, but we do have Gift Orban and also the Georgian forward to take over. Nemanja Matic wanted to make a move away, so we've let him do so. He's gone to to Al Batin, a team out in Saudi Arabia, for 800,000 after a decent season for us, but nothing exceptional. Clinton Mata also moves on. He's joining Nuremberg in the Bundesliga for a fee of 1.2 million. Came to us, did okay, but wasn't someone I was going to rely upon long term. Ainsley Maitland-Niles has also left, a pretty small fee actually for him, but you can see it does match his valuation. He's gone to Burnley. We made £2.3 million from that, rising to 2.8. He was signed on a free deal, didn't play much last year, and when he did, wasn't great, so off he goes. Then the two biggest sales, Anthony Lopez, the goalkeeper, age 34, does get his permanent move away, not to Hoffenheim this time. He goes to Saudi Arabia, to Al Batin, where he's going to join up with Matic. And finally, Oriel Mangala has also gone to Saudi to join Al Riyadh. It's for a fee of 10 million. He spent last season out on loan at Everton, and I know he is a recent signing by Lyon in this window and then loaned out to Everton from Forest, but he's just not someone that I think I want to use in FM. He might be good in real life, but here he was worth a bit of cash. I thought, let's sell him on and reinvest it in better players. The first area I wanted to improve was our defence, where we shipped a lot of goals last season, so I've improved the back line with the incoming Flavio Enzo Boyomo, a Cameroonian 23-year-old who we signed from Osasuna out in Spain, where he was pretty good in La Liga. 9 million was the fee, a release clause deal, and as you can see, comes in as one of our best defenders already. And another upgrade to that back line is going to be Anthony Roulotte, who is a 24-year-old French defender, good with a ball at his feet, but good defensively too, with a bit of potential to grow, joining from Stuttgart in Germany for 7 million. Formerly of Toulouse, went to Germany, did okay, caught the eyes of our scouts, and now he's in. We've also saw the addition of Luka Sukic, a Croatian midfielder with a lot of potential to grow, an attacking talent who comes in to be the Firmin replacement this year really. Joins from Real Sociedad, where he was pretty good last year, having signed from Salzburg. 11 million is the fee, and I think he'll be worth way more than that when we're done. And finally, Isaac Johansson is our last incoming. He is also an addition to midfield, 22 years of age, joining for 7 million from Dusseldorf in the Bundesliga 2, where as you can see, he did very, very well. So if he can take the step up to Ligue 1, we'll have a real player on our hands. And already this best 11 is starting to have our influence on it. Supposedly it's Perry in goal, with Coletta Sarr, Boyomo and Niakate as the best centre-backs, with Freshneda and Vinicius on either flank, whilst Kakare, Sukic, Nuama and Cherki finish off the forward line, with Amin Sarr supposedly as our best striker. Out on loan at Hellas Verona last season, did not do great, so I think for me that's still going to have to be Gift Orban. But this is a much better side now, I think, in my opinion. Yes, we've lost some players, but we've added some key players too. We have also lowered the age of the squad as well, but the game doesn't seem to think these transfers have been an improvement. Either that or they think everyone else has got better, because we now only have 25 to 1 odds of winning the title, whilst PSG have 1 to 4. If you put 10 quid on that, you are not getting much back at all. But we're there, 4th place predicted. We're going to give it our best shot in season 2. How can our new look squad do? Fingers crossed they do well, because another bad season and we could be looking at the sack. And with our second season, I think it's safe to say we can take a few more positives than last year. Don't get me wrong, there were some negatives too, but let's start off with Europe once again, where this time it wasn't the Conference League, but Europa League football that we were playing. And after a good performance in the early stages, we made it to the quarter-final, facing off against Atalanta, where Niakate opened the scoring from the penalty spot, and not too long afterwards, we came forward. Johansson playing out left to Tagliafico, he burst into the area and tucked it away to make it 2. Now the away leg in this game was 1-1, so when we came to the home leg being 2-0 up, we had a very good chance of making the semis, and we secured it. Nuama tucking it away, and that meant we were now heading to the semi-final, a pretty favourable draw against Union Berlin. And the home tie started off pretty comfortably, considering this was a European semi-final. Nuama bursting in the area and tucking it away, and in the second half we managed to extend the lead. Nuama onto Kakare into the area, and a brilliant finish put us 2-0 up. And that would have been a fantastic result to take to Germany, but as the minutes ticked away, they had a late chance from the corner, the only real one of the game. Unfortunately, it was an own goal from Freshneda, tucking it away into our own net. And that must have gave the German side the confidence they needed, because in leg number 2, they created an early chance going forward, Vertesen scoring after only 10 minutes. At this point it was level, and it stayed that way until extra time of the second leg, where they came forward once more. Bedia managed to tucking it away, and that meant we got knocked out of the Europa League in a semi-final in what I felt was a pretty favourable draw. We should have made it to the final, final, but thankfully we did make it to a final in a different competition. Because in the French Cup we did manage to make the final, coming up against PSG, Gift Orban got us off to a great start. And just so you know, at this point in the save, PSG have been all over us in any encounter that we've had against them, but Cherki did manage to pull it back. Orban again put his 2-0 up. Not comfortable with just a 2-goal lead against the French Giants, so we came forward again later on in the match, Cherki receiving the ball from Sukic and putting it past the goalkeeper. PSG though were able to get one back, Kolo Muani finding Vitinha, who managed to tuck it away and make it 3-1, before Johansson got a late penalty to make it 4, and that secured us the French Cup and also a valuable victory against PSG to show that when it comes to it, we can compete against them, even if it was a little bit of their backup team. The league though was a little bit more disappointing. A much better year than last year, it must be said, but still a huge gap away from title winners PSG, who get better and better. We do manage to finish above Lens this year, who fell all the way to 9th place, but I mean 64 points is better. There's much better goal difference too, only 3 points away from 3rd place Monaco, but I feel like the gap between us and PSG is only getting bigger in terms of how good they've become with the signing of Victor Osimhen as well. This will not be an easy rebuild at all, but we have got a trophy under our belt with a French Cup, and there's some great players to thank for it. Nuama, Sukic, Johansson, Roulotte and Cherki as some of our best this year, and Jafinho as well, a Brazilian player that they signed by the looks of it in 2022, has been on loan in Brazil, came back and played a decent part off the bench. We also had Gift Orban with 26 goals this year, seems to be about his limit of how many he can score, but a brilliant season all round. And now we go into season 3 with a £46 million budget and £140,000 of wages to spend. So now we can keep going, we can keep improving this team and hopefully closing that gap on the French Giants PSG. And it was another brilliant window, but just quickly, I did mention earlier that I had a second channel in the description. I didn't speak much about it, but for you guys that want to check it out, it's where I'm talking everything real life football, mainly focused on my club Chelsea. So if you're not into that, no worries, don't check it out if you don't want to. But if you do want to come and go over and give me some feedback, some support, I'd really appreciate it. We're very close now to 1,000 subs, so any support to that target would be amazing. But let's take a look at some of the transfer targets. You see how I linked that in? That was pretty good. That we had in season 3. Finally leaving the club, Corentin Tolisso has left to join Freiburg, so we get his wages off the books and a little fee too. Tagliafico's time in France is up. He's now gone to play in Belgium to play for Club Bruges for £1 million. A bit of a disappointment in this save, the Jordan striker Mikal Tadze has moved to AZ Alkmaar, having not done much for us in 2 years. Moves on for 1.2 mil, so good luck to him in the future. And Said Benrahma has also left too, to join Nice for 1.3 million. Now with all of these players, you might be looking at them and thinking you're getting nowhere near the fee that the club originally paid. And yeah, that is true, but I just don't think the club has spent the money well. And when there's a player like this hogging the wages that I'm not going to use, it's best to get them out, even if it's for a little bit of cash. Duje Kaleta-Sarr has also moved on, age 29. He'll be playing for Wolves in the Premier League. Another chance to play in England. 1.3 million was the fee after a less important last season for us. Jafinho's also going to get the chance to play first team football at Burnley, where he's moved for 2.3 mil, having been a bit part player for his last year. And Amin Sarr has also moved on. Lens obviously trying to have as good of a season as they had in year 1 by signing him from us for £5 million after last season played a little bit, but not that much. So you know what? We're going to take it. Sofiane Diop was our first incoming though, to give us some extra depth on either wing. The 26-year-old Moroccan, I think, is a pretty good pickup on a free from Nice. So we're certainly going to take that. A nice addition to the squad. Speaking of squad players, here's another one. Henrik Bjordal, the Norwegian 29-year-old, gives us some extra bodies in that midfield. £900,000 from Vålerenga out in Norway. David Botella was a real cheap signing. 26-year-old Italian defender who we signed on a release clause, 1.6 million from Frosinone in Serie B, where he's been excellent for the club. And I think we've got a good player here, age 26, a great squad option. Joel Hato was available on a cut price fee from Ajax, so I've decided to go for it. 14.5 million isn't the highest fee you'll ever see for Hato, who has been playing football but just not developing to the levels he might do in other saves. But I'm hoping as a centre-back option, as a left wing-back option, he'll be great cover. And then we've gone all out for a new striker. We needed someone to score more than Gift Orban has been, so Gift Orban will now compete with Emmanuel Omega, who we have signed age 23 from Strasbourg. Now it was 25 million rising to 27, a lot of money, but he's proved he can score in Ligue 1 and we'll be hoping in a better team like ours he can do even better. And our best 11 does not look that much different other than Omega coming in this season, but you will see the lineup is probably a 50-50 mix now of players we had originally and new signings, but it's really on the bench and in the reserves where we have much better players now. We've got a much better squad depth and we're also not relying on older heads as much as before. That means these players are going to have resale value that we can sell on in the future if they develop right, and we have now been predicted a 16-1 title chance, and that's much better than we've had previously. PSG's team though, as you can see, is just getting better and better, so it's going to be really hard to close the gap on them in season 3, but we're going to do what we can, try and get closer to them in the table and hopefully show some signs that we might be able to overtake them in our 5 years here. And this season, I think you're really starting to see our side come together now. From a team that originally finished 5th and was also not doing great in the Conference League, we're now playing Champions League football and trying to challenge that league title. So let's start off with the Champions League. And we did make the round of 16, but we were faced with maybe the hardest test we could have had. Playing Real Madrid, we lost 3-2 at home. Within a minute, the Bernabeu, Mbappe scored and put his side 2 goals ahead. But we had quality and we were able to match them in both games generally in terms of play, and we did manage to pull one back for Omega's brilliant finish. And in the second half, we went forward again, this time Omega getting into the area and equalising for our Lyon side. So it was 4-4 in aggregate, and Real Madrid had just had Valverde sent off. So we were playing against 10 men, but Real Madrid being Real Madrid, they know how to win in Europe, and Bellingham scored a late winner to take his side through. So that meant we were knocked out in a round of 16, but only losing 5-4 in aggregate to Real Madrid shows just how far we've come from a team that back in the first season was struggling in the Conference League, and the league this year was far better too, because we had a fantastic second place finish, far more points than previous seasons, only 4 losses, 6 draws, a brilliant year, 78 points, way clear of Monaco, Lens, Rennes and anyone else. Marseille having a really bad season, but we're still nowhere near PSG, 9 points ahead of us, the 2 top goal scorers in the league all playing for them, the 2 most assisted players in the league also playing for them, so they are an unstoppable force at the minute, but we have at least closed the gap. Saying that, their goal difference is more than double ours, but it doesn't matter. We're going to keep pushing and closing that gap, and hopefully by season 5 we might actually be able to mount a title challenge, but a much better year from us. Unfortunately, the French Cup we were knocked out by Sienne, but the Trophée des Champions we did manage to beat PSG in right at the start of the season, which was a fantastic win for us. Niakate and Nwama outdoing Osimhen's goal, and it's interesting those 2 score because they were 2 of our best players. Niakate with 12 goals from centre back. I don't even think it's set pieces, I think it's the fact that he takes penalties for the club, but it was great to see Bjordau having a good season and Omega scoring 21, while Sukic, Cherki and Nwama had great years. This was Cherki's best year yet, a phenomenal season for him, 12 goals and 10 assists in 23 league appearances, a fantastic player, loved by the fans as well, and this club is now no longer just 1 or 2 men running the show. We've got plenty of players competing and getting goals, even 9 goals from the young Belgian Malik Fofana, who he loaned out in season 1 and has grown into a good player. But we need more of those good players. We're not going to stop here. We've got £60 million to spend in season 4. This is where we can really start splashing the cash, buying top tier players to come into this squad and take us to another level. So let's see what's available and hopefully make some big signings in season 4. And this season, we were actually quite conservative with our budget. I feel like we've made some good signings, improved the squad without going too overboard. The only real sale to note is Bjordau, who we signed last season, gave us a good show and now moved on for a slight profit to Belgian side Club Bruges. Coming in though with some left wing back depth in the form of Fran Garcia, who signs on a free after his contract at Real Madrid was up. Costinha offers cover on the other wing back position, a 27-year-old Portuguese fullback signing from Olympiacos for 5.25 million, and he's been really good in Greece, so I'm hoping he'll be able to compete pretty well with Fresneda for that right wing back spot. Matteo Guendouzi has been a brilliant pickup for us on a free, to be honest. He's a French international, 28, and I can't believe we got him for free. Lazio he's been exceptional with in Serie A, so this should be a real coup for us. Yes, a former Marseille player, but if he plays well, I think we can forget about that. But our big money signing was Matthias Lambord, who is a player with a lot of potential, maybe not amazing just yet, but age 21, I see a lot of promise in this kid. Playing for Hellas Verona, he's not been really good just yet. 21 million is a lot of money, but if you look at his attributes, he should have everything he needs to offer us cover both up front and on the wing, so I'm crossing my fingers this one will turn out well. So a lot of squad level players brought in, no one that can really challenge this first 11, bar Guendouzi, who comes straight into that midfield. Costinha as well, actually, supposedly our best right wing back. Fresneda won't be happy about that, but you can see this team is really well balanced now. Lots of players in all areas and lots of youth as well that can continue to develop and get better and better as the years go by. And this is clear progress for our club because our odds have gone up yet again, 13-1 to win the title. PSG way ahead on 2-7, but we're doing all we can to close the gap against a very, very strong PSG team who have Xavi Simons, they have Evan Ferguson. So we're going to keep doing what we can. Season 4 is upon us now. After this, we'll only have one more year to try and get some European success and hopefully some league success as well. Maybe another French Cup. I'll take what I can get, but let's see what we can do in Season 4. And Season 4 was another show of improvement from our team. We're getting better and better. This year we got past the round of 16 against Porto in the Champions League and made a quarter-final, coming up against fellow French side and the challengers really for this rebuild, PSG. And as you saw a couple of seasons ago in the French Cup final, we are able to hold our nerves against the French giants now, and we proved that after 17 minutes Nwama finding Abner Vinicius, who put us 1-0 up. And it wasn't long before we were able to make that 2. Sukic playing it through to Omega, who tucked it away, and we couldn't believe our luck when in the second half another great ball found Omega once more and he put us 3-0 up against PSG. So we won the home leg comfortably. All we needed to do was hold out in leg 2 at the Parc des Princes and we would be making the Champions League semis. Unfortunately though, they beat us 4-0, they dominated us. I'm not going to show the goals, but PSG knocked us out, but it was at least an improvement in the UCL. In the league though, it was a different story. We managed to beat PSG 3-0, and that was one of many wins that we got this year, and PSG, one of many losses they had this year. And because of that, we had actually managed to win the title. 84 points, one more than PSG. We drew 0, lost 6. Meanwhile, PSG dropped a lot more points than they would have wanted. 3 losses and 5 draws across the course of the season. They'll be beating themselves up about some of them, but we managed to do it. I didn't think it was our best year. I did not expect us to be in this position, but I suppose that lack of draws really did help us out. A lot more wins than any other club. 84 points is fantastic. PSG though, we've got to admit, have had a fall off. Yes, they've dropped points, but also that's 40 goal difference less or so than what they had in the previous season. So I don't know what's happening at PSG, but we're not going to complain. We're going to take it. We have added our first title to the cabinet in our 4th year here. And you can see why we did do so well. Plenty of players contributing with lots of goals. Lambourne managing to chip in with 12 across the course of the season, which will certainly take. Nwama with 16, and what a player he has turned into. Sukic as well, another one that's developed into a top talent. But the real one is Omega. Remember, Orban was scoring 20 odd goals a season, but Omega is nearly doubling that. 24 goals in 29 league games, great performance, and easily worth the money that we paid for him. He's going to get a new contract. This guy is brilliant, and now we go in with 1 season left with another big budget to improve this team even more. 2 league titles in 5 years, I would definitely take if we can do that. If we can add another French Cup along the way, I'd be delighted. So let's see who we can sign in our 5th and final season. And this was our biggest window yet, both in terms of sales and signings. This is the first time we've really splashed the cash and tried to take this team to a complete another level, and I feel like we've done a very good job of it. First outgoing, Tanner Tessman. Haven't even spoke about him because the guy is really, really rubbish in games, to be honest, and we've got rid of him. He's refused to go pretty much every season, so I'm glad he finally has gone. A youngster, Charles Umbarga, has also left the club, 19 years of age, to sign for AC Milan for 2.5 mil. Isaac Johansson was upset about his game time last season, so age 25, he makes the move away. A brilliant signing for 7 million, who we've now sold on for 33.5. But there was an even bigger sale than that, with Maxence Kakare going to the same club, Al Ahly, out in Saudi Arabia. 39 million for him is the fee. He's not really been that great for us, to be honest. He's been fine, but not amazing. So I'm not too bothered that he's gone, especially when you see what that money allowed us to do. Coming in first was Facundo Torres, some depth in them attacking areas. He signed on a free from PSG, where he has been for a few years, but has not really done much at all. For anyone that continues on Patreon, you'll have a brilliant new gen to develop here, Uruguayan Christian Serron, who has some brilliant hair and some brilliant attributes as well. Age 19, he's got a big future and only cost us 2.2 million from Uruguay. Filippo Missouri, I think, is a brilliant addition to the side. Age 24, the wing-back is going to be excellent, I think. 19.5 million from Sassuolo, a brilliant signing and one of the best in the world in his position, I would have thought. More suited to that right-back spot, but I think in no time he'll be a really good right wing-back. But the signings kept coming. We signed Kobbie Mainoo not from Manchester United, but from Real Madrid, where he was on the transfer list, having left for 28 million in the first season or so. Hasn't really played much for them at all, hasn't developed as much as you might think he could, but 27 mil I think is a good deal for this level of player. But our biggest signing of this whole rebuild, surprisingly, is French centre-back Maxime Esteve, who we have spent 44 million pounds on from Burnley. I would have liked to find a cheaper option, but I couldn't. Either way though, this guy has been one of the best defenders in the Prem for the last few years in the in-game world. A left-footed defender who's great defensively but good with the ball at his feet as well, physically dominant, and hopefully will grow into a top-level player with us here at Lyon. And this is the best 11 that we finished with. I think we've created a brilliant side here with plenty of great players on the bench as well. Lambord is a top talent now, really, the way he's developing, and hopefully only 22, he can keep developing and get even better. Sukic, Omega, Nuama, all great talents, all at a young age as well. We've really taken this team, in my opinion, to a completely new stratosphere from what we overtook. And that goes for the facilities as well, where I've maxed pretty much everything out. The club's reputation has gone up too, I believe, since when we started. So everything is heading in the right direction, but fingers crossed in Season 5 we can add one more trophy to the cabinet, whether it's the French Cup, the League, maybe even something from Europe. I don't know yet. Let's see what we can do in Season 5. And our fifth and final season with Lyon is one we can be very proud of. But let's start with the disappointments. The Trophée des Champions we lost, and the French Cup we lost too. But the Champions League this time, we made it to a semi-final, facing off once again against PSG. The bane of one. And it was already great because we had won the league as well. 89 points, 4 points clear of PSG, a really good goal difference, 3 losses and 2 draws, way better than our previous year. PSG did a bit better than previous, but we've done even better. So we have managed to win the title 2 years in a row. We've managed to get on top of the French club. Luis Enrique's side has fallen to us yet again. We have beaten them in the league, beaten them in the Champions League, and we've brought home 2 massive trophies for Lyon. One of the best seasons you'll ever see from any player though. Matthias Lambord had a brilliant year. 19 goals and 12 assists in 28 league games. Look at the player he's become already. What a star he is going to be. Only 23 here. Somehow not got a French cap. Omega got 30 goals. Nuama with 12. We had Guendouzi getting 15. Cherki chipping in with 7. He's been here the whole time. And despite declining massively compared to everyone else, is still playing a big part in this team. So we can be really proud of everything that we've done here at Lyon. A great rebuild. Finances are looking good. Facilities are looking good. Reputation is looking good. We have taken this club to a whole new level, and that is this rebuild complete. Let me know who you want to see next time in the comments down below, and I'll see you then. Goodbye.